help you with your the writer portion, the planning sheet for your summative essay today, which should be finished and turned in by the end of the class. I'm going to have you follow the screencast to get you started. You may use some of the information I have here, but you will need to find your own text evidence and your own counter arguments and counterclaims. That will be what you really need to do for most of the period after you watch this short video clip. So after you have done the pro-con chart, that should be finished too. That's on the back side of your planning sheet. And you should have watched the screencast on how to complete that before this. You now need to complete your planning sheet. Okay, so you kind of see mine. It just sort of looks like yours, but it's in a Google format, so you can see everything. If you find that you're running out of room on the planning sheet, if you want to draw it out on a sheet of paper and staple it to it when you turn it in, that is absolutely fine. So we're starting with the thesis statement, the claim. Remember, what's really important here is to tag and flip the prompt. Remember, tag is title, author, genre. So I've already started that for you, and you may use the exact same thing here and then add your stance at the end. So we have the title, so based on the information, we can use that. If you want to use that kind of introduction for an argumentative essay, that way you remain objective. You don't want to say anything in your thesis like, I think this or I think that. Do not say I or you anywhere in your essay. You need to remain objective throughout, okay? And that's nothing personal. That's just trying to be doing more analytical writing and remaining objective. And when we go over the rubric next week, you will see that that is a big part of something they look for higher scores, and we want you to get a higher score. So based on the information in the essay, there's the genre by Stephen King. There's the author. Now take Bambi or Snow White. Now that's scary. Let me see. Fix the title here. Look at that. That's scary. So we've got the first tag, and remember there are two articles, so it's important that you put both. And the article by Lawrence Ross, PhD. We'll put a comma between that sometimes. And note that he's a PhD. That gives a lot of credibility to that particular article that you should have read yesterday and should have gathered information. If you didn't, you were behind. After you turn in your essay on the 9th, all work, no missing work will be accepted. So all of it that says missing up until that point will revert to a 0. So just in case you weren't aware of that new policy, I'm making you aware of it now so that you make sure you keep up with all steps in the process here. Make sure you do everything so that you get credit for anything that's collected, okay? And that you have an awesome essay. So based on the information, the essay by Stephen King, Now Take Bambi or Snow White, That's Scary, and the article by Lawrence Ross, PhD, Can Watching Horror Films Be Harmful to Our Children? I'm going to take a stance here. You take your stance. Children should not be allowed to watch horror movies. Okay, you can leave it there or be more specific so that what you write here becomes the topic sentences for your 2 body paragraphs. Okay, I'm going to say horror movies because children should not be allowed to watch horror movies because they can traumatize them and have, what can we say here? Cause negative behaviors. Of course, I'm thinking of the article in mind as I'm doing that. So I'm going to move this up here. So give me a little bit more room here. Okay. So we have the topic sentence and we have our good thesis statement here. So we have tagged it, we flipped the prompt, should they be allowed to or not be allowed to. So we're going to flip that around. So you need to decide on what you want for the end of this. Should they or shouldn't they, and 2 reasons why or why not. Okay? And we're going to move down to the topic sentence, which should be your precise claim. You want to be precise here. So you want to write these to be full topic sentences. Okay? Of course, when you're under a time constraint, you do as much as you can, but the planning sheet is critical. We're going to be working on timing you the last week of this quarter so you can practice that. So your topic sentence should go something, you can look up some better transitions, but we're just going to sketch it out here. First, children should not be allowed to watch horror movies. Excuse me. Horror movies because they can be traumatic for them, or they can traumatize them. Just be, really straightforward. Doesn't have to be anything fancy. Try to get this fixed a little bit. All right, and so now I would write out your topic sentence for the next one. So topic sentence. So furthermore, because you are adding on, children. What is the next one? Cause negative behaviors. Watching horror films. Say it a little different way, maybe. The negative behaviors. Okay. All right. Even if you like mine and you use mine, you are still going to have to find your own evidence. So, but that's just kind of how that might look. Okay. Counter arguments and counter claims. So you need to think about what some of the things are that maybe Stephen King said, or things that you can back up with other text evidence in either article of what an opposing viewpoint might be to this. And if you remember, Stephen King said he really thought it was the parents' responsibility. But of course, there was definitely that different time period that he was writing in too, where it was easier for parents to control things. So counter arguments and counter claims. So we might say something. We want to introduce that so that we know that we want it to sound like a counter argument, counter claim. So we're going to say something like, some are of the view, some may think that those who are in favor of allowing some children to view horror movies at a young age believe it's solely the parents' responsibility to make those decisions. Okay. Now, we could do that, or we could keep it more general, okay? We can say there are others, on the other hand, there are others who claim that it is okay for children to watch horror movies. If restrictions are provided by parents. Okay, so then you can go into more specifics down here. So down here in your evidence for each one of these, so you have topic sentence here, okay, you have a topic sentence precise claim here, and it follows the order of your thesis, and then you have your counter argument, counterclaim. Okay, so at least at that point you're going to make sure to address. We were going to organize it a different way, but I think this is going to be a little more organized for you. So we're going to stick with topic sentence, precise claim, and 2 claims, 2 body paragraphs, and 1 on counterclaims, counter arguments. Okay. All right. So here you're going to get your evidence. So, quote example from the text, okay, quote, example from the text, okay. Same here for evidence, quote, example from the text, quote, example from the text. That's pretty much what you're doing all the way through. So once you know what your stance is and you know what you want to say here, and you get, that's why all of this kind of falls into place here. So the big part of your outline is putting these together. You want to back that up, and so here you're going to give your evidence. And sort of your rebuttal, or why your point is still better, okay? So that's kind of what you're looking for, and so hopefully that guides you, and this is something you can watch again if you need to review it or you were absent for part of something. So here's your thesis statement, okay? You tagged, you flipped the prompt, you have a topic sentence, okay, that's about traumatizing, and we said it in a little different way here, topic sentence, precise claim for the second paragraph, and then we're dealing with the counterarguments and counterclaims by saying, on the other hand, there are those, let me fix that, those who claim that it is okay for children to watch horror movies if restrictions are provided by parents. And then you would probably go into a couple things from Stephen King. So you can see how we're using both texts here. You're kind of using the Ross article here, and over here a few examples from what King says, but then you're going to need to come back at that and prove why yours is better. Okay? Conclusion we can deal with when we're polishing up your essay. These are the really key points here. And again, that at least gives you a start on that. So you should have finished your pro-con chart today. You should finish your graphic organizer, your tree map, so that entire sheet of paper should be full. And again, if it's too small for you, use a sheet of your own paper, copy it out, and staple it to turn it in. Okay? And just a reminder that once the summative essay is turned in, no missing work will be accepted after that summative. We will be talking about that more next semester, but that policy has come down from the school, so you need to make sure that you're aware of that. Okay? Alright, so go ahead and get started on this, and now you've at least got that. Go ahead and get your topic sentences in there. If you're modeling it after me, you still have to go through the evidence, though, on your own, and we'll be working on composing that early next week and polishing it up by the end of the week for a really good summative essay. Alright, there you go.